Hey guys, Stealth here. Welcome to BattleTech. This introduction video is going to teach you a few of the basic things that you need to know about the game and to help you decide if this is a game that is for you. The shortest possible definition that doesn't quite do the game justice, but that at least gives you an idea of what this is that you're looking at XCOM with mechs. That is pretty much it. If you're familiar with XCOM, you know that you have the Avenger, your main craft, your main ship as it is. In this game, that is what you're looking at right here. This is the Leopard. Now let me show you around the Leopard, as we have a few very interesting areas. The most important of which is the Mech Bay. In the Mech Bay, you can find the mechs that you have. These are, well, you could compare them in a way to giant tanks, or giant, well, death walkers of sorts. And these machines are piloted by your crew. There's only one pilot per mech. Now, it's not just that these things have one, let's say, hit point pool and that they die once that's done. No, these mechs have their own armor, they have their own weaponry, and as per, well, pretty much all the latest games, you can refit them. You can have all sorts of different weaponry on here. Before I'm going to do that though, let me show you around the other areas here. We have over here is the Barracks. Now if you're coming from XCOM like I am, then the Barracks might seem very, very empty. Because I only have, at the moment, 5 pilots. These 5 pilots though are generally enough. They are enough to get my crew online and to keep my machines operational. And you can see that each of these guys have a couple of skills. You're looking at gunnery skill, piloting skill, guts and tactics. And each of these things impact how a specific player or how a specific pilot is going to perform. Whereas gunnery makes them more accurate, piloting makes them more effective at maneuvering. You have guts, which is a very important element because it has to do with hit points as well as weapon recoil. And then there is tactics. This is, in a way, line of sight. But that doesn't quite cover it. But that's pretty much how you can distinguish between these 4. And you can train a mech warrior or a mech pilot up in all sorts of various skills. And every once in a while you come across one of these major blocks, which then gives you a major additional skill that they get. Now, back to the Mech Bay, because that is pretty much where it's at in this game. This is where you determine the health and loadout of your mechs. At the moment I have 6 of them, but as you can see a couple of them are not operational. The mech that you're looking at right here has its arms shot off. This happened on the last mission where this mech got hit in the side and there was so much damage to the arm that the arm with the attached weapon just fell off. Now, once you have a mech in progress for repair or refitting, I cannot show you what's going on there, but I can show you on this Shadowhawk. And before I do that, every mech has a specific type, a specific make and model, and all of these things impact the role of this mech on the battlefield. The game gives you some clues as to where a mech is going to be most useful. For example, this Shadowhawk, as it says in the description there in the tooltip, stock roll, skirmisher and cavalry. Then you have quite a few icons. You have 3 and then a sort of bullet icon. This is the amount of ballistic weapons that this thing can fit. Then you have the sort of laser beam, that is laser weapons. Then the 3 pointers up north, or up to the left, that is the missilery that it can carry. Next up is that targeting reticule, that is the amount of support weapons. And then the next one, I believe, is health. Now, let's have a look at refitting this mech. Because this is how you customize what you want on your mech. And when you look at the screen for the first time, it might look quite overwhelming. Starting here at the right, what you have here, all these different sections, are the different elements of your mech. And you can do all sorts of things with these. Looking at the right arm here, because you're looking at the mech in reverse, you're looking at it from the front, you can see that it has no slots here for ballistic, 1 slot for an energy weapon, so a laser weapon. Then you have missile hardpoints, of which this arm has none, and 1 support hit point, or hardpoint. You also have this slider above, and that's the amount of armor that you have on this arm. And I can say I want less armor on this arm or more armor. But you cannot just keep adding armor to no extent, because over here on the top you have 55 out of 55 tons. This is the total mech weight. This is what it can sustain. If you go over that, the game is going to say nope, can't do that, it's overweight. So you're going to have to make sure you keep under that limit. And this limit not only gets determined by armor, but also by the various equipment units as well as weaponry that you put onto this mech. The weapons that I have at the moment are the SRM-6, also known as the Short Range Missile. Now, the SRM says what it is, and the 6 pretty much says how many rockets it fires. That is pretty much how you can keep these things apart. Of course, this hardpoint can only sustain missile hardpoints, so I can only mount missiles here. If I would try to mount a missile more than what I have right now, it's going to say nope, can't do that. It's going to try and dismount one of the SRMs that I have. So you are limited by those slots and you cannot overload them. Over here, I couldn't fit the SRM even if I wanted to, because it doesn't have a hardpoint for it. So you're going to have to spread out your weapons a bit, and all of these weapons have their own role on the battlefield. Starting with the kinetic weapons. The kinetic weapons are mostly there to deliver direct damage. This one in particular is a sniper autocannon. Does 25 points of damage, and I'll be looking into damage a little later. Intended for use as a supporting fire at very long range. Deals moderate damage, creates low heat and large ammunition count per ton. They suffer from recoil effects from continuous fire. This means that the more you fire your weapon, this weapon in particular, the more recoil your mech has to put up with. And considering that these mechs can get a little bit top heavy, especially if you keep firing, this means that your mech can eventually fall over, which would be not the end of the world, because you can still get up, but it would definitely put you at a disadvantage. Next, laser weaponry. The only thing that I have at the moment here is the Helion M laser. They're lightweight, respectable damage. They don't do any stability damage to you or the enemy team, because it's an energy weapon. What it does do is generate heat. Now, a mech has an energy core, and the energy core provides the whole machine with power. If you keep generating heat by movement and by firing weapons such as this one, which generate heat, then your mech can eventually overheat. So the reactor goes critical and you're going to start losing health. Eventually, if you keep that up long enough, that can destroy the mech. So while this thing does have some advantages, it does good damage, it has pretty overall acceptable stats, you are going to be generating heat. So if you have a mech that is very reliant on laser weapons or energy weapons, you can possibly overheat it. Next, missilery. These are generally divided in LRM and SRM, long-range missiles and short-range missiles. The short-range missiles can, in a way, be a sort of shotgun. They do 8 damage, and then it says the 2 for the amount of salvos that you fire, the amount of missiles that you fire. So in this case, the SRM-2 fires 2 missiles. If you compare that to the SRM-6, these missiles do 8 damage apiece, but this one fires 6. So between the 2 missile launchers that I had on here, those 2 SRM-6s, if I fire both of those, I'm going to be doing, if everything hits, and that remains to be seen, 96 damage. So you're packing quite the punch with this weapon. That is as far as the weapons go. The only thing that you need to remember for this game is that you also have ammo. Laser weapons or energy weapons do not have ammo, but missiles and ballistic weapons do. So every once in a while, check how much ammo you still have left. And in the case of this Shadowhawk, I only have 1 ammo crate on the vehicle. And ammo crates or ammo bins, they can explode, which means that you may want to consider where you put these. Now, as for the mech overall, this thing has hit points all over the place. I briefly covered the amount of armor that they have. So you have F and R, front and rear. As you can see, I have 3 times the amount of armor on the front than I have on the rear. And all of these are different sections that can be hit. Now, actually hitting them can be quite a bit of RNG. This is not a very exact process. That is, until you get various skills that can help you with that. So, make sure that you have armor on various different pieces. And if one piece gets its armor blown off, you still have the piece on you, because it generally still has structural points, or structure hit points. The moment that these things get overwhelmed, so if I lose all 45 out of 45 structure points, that is when the mech dies, or at least when that particular component falls off. And in this way, you can decapitate a mech, or you can dismember a mech by shooting off its right arm or left arm, or both. Left leg, right leg to reduce mobility. But those things are all pretty survivable. Once you come to the torso, the left torso and the right torso, situations become a bit more severe. Because that is generally when your pilot starts to take damage. When your pilot starts to take damage and that guy gets knocked out, that is when the mech goes down. That is when you lose your mech. Even worse are shots to the head. That's where the pilot sits. And then you have the center torso. If this thing goes down, the whole mech explodes. This is where I believe the reactor core is, or the energy core. If this thing goes up, the whole mech dies. Next up, equipment. As I've showed you, some of these weapons, even the SRMs, generate heat. This thing generates 14 heat per salvo. Now, I have some way of mitigating that heat, as each mech has a little bit of heat dissipation every turn. But if you want to jump that up, or if you want to boost that amount of heat dissipation, you can get a heat sink on there. You can slot as many heat sinks as you like, but each heat sink is going to cost you 1 ton of weight. So if you have a mech that is heavy on laser or energy weapons, and you want to very quickly dissipate that heat, you're going to have to bring quite a few heat sinks. And of course, if I lose my right leg and I lose my heat sink, that could spell quite a few issues for keeping this mech operational. Because I might not be able to fire all these weapons at the same time and still not have to deal with overheating. That is pretty quickly what your main combat unit looks like. Oh, sorry, one thing I haven't covered yet, and I know there's a lot more equipment than there is available here, which in a way is a good thing because I don't want to overwhelm you. You have the jump jets. And jump jets do exactly what they say on the tin. You can jump over an area. You can jump up a building, you can jump on top of a mountain to get a better line of sight, better vantage point. But these things are limited in their use. So the more jump jets you have, the more you can jump around. But if you have expended your charges and your mech is stuck on top of a building, good luck trying to get it off of there. Now, let's revert all the changes. I don't want to actually change the Shadowhawk at the moment. Next up, we have navigation. This is, again, if you're coming from XCOM, the way that you maneuver the Avenger across the map. Except that this map is in space. I'm currently over here. There is a contract on this side of the galaxy, or in this star system. And you have quite a few of these star systems. I believe not all of which I have unlocked yet. So the map can still get bigger. And I wouldn't be surprised if in potentially future DLCs they're going to be adding additional sections of the galaxy here. For now, this is where I am, and if you want to move, you simply click there and the vehicle or your leopard is going to start to move there. Now, one other thing that you need to keep in mind is the amount of finances. You run a pretty costly operation, as my expenses this month are predicted to be 281,000 credits. At the moment I have 915,000 funds, so I should have enough to last me 3 months, unless my mechs get damaged. If that happens, I'm going to need to do some repairs, and repairs are generally quite expensive. Not only are they expensive in funding, but they are also expensive in time. You need a lot of time to fix those things. What else do we have? Yeah, we have the crew members, but I'm not going to be covering that too much. These guys all have their own story, they all have their own bit of lore. I'm not exactly too familiar with the BattleTech universe, But if you are, then you probably know who these people are and what they're talking about. Now, let's go on an actual mission. In the command center you have contracts, and inside a contract you can still specify what exactly you want to get out of it. Right now I have two optional contracts. I have the payroll seizure or last mech standing. Let's see. At the moment I have a decent amount of funds, so this is not really an issue at the moment. But what I can use is a bit of salvage. What you see here per contract is what it pays, what the salvage is, and what the reputation is that you can gain. Right now, this contract pays me 189,200 credits if I go for maximum pay. If I go for maximum salvage, it says 2/10. That means that at the end of a mission, there is a lot of salvage around the battlefield. And the 2 says you can pick 2 of all of that salvage, and you get a total of 10. So you have some influence in what exactly you want to get out of that particular salvage pile. And then the reputation is a reputation with, in this case, the last planetary government. And the better your reputation, the better the contracts that are going to come your way. There it says in the tooltip, higher reputation will make more difficult and lucrative missions available, as well as lower prices for goods in systems controlled by that faction. So if you're in a system of, in this case, the planetary government, I can go into the store, which is over here, and I can say, well, I want, let's say, this particular weapon, a flamer or a laser or a new long-range missile system. And the better your reputation with that particular area, the cheaper these things will be. Anyway, on to the contracts. Let's accept this contract, payroll seizure. We've located the secure facility where the planetary government stores its payroll before distributing it to local forces. We believe we could put that payroll to better use. We'd like to hire you, so this is a mercenary contract. We are mercenaries who are out there for hire. We would like to hire you to hit the facility and steal the payroll. It'll be well defended and there will be a bonus if you eliminate all the defenders. I'm going to negotiate that one. I'm going to say, well, I want a bit more salvage. I want to be able to pick 3 out and get a total of 14, and that is going to cut into the amount of payment that I get for the job. Now, another important element here is whether transport is included, because you have to travel from one star system to the next, and that's expensive. You're basically paying for fuel. Fortunately, in this contract that is included. So we're going to head off and move over there. Now this, organized chaos. Right, I'm not going to go into that at the moment. Over here you have the timeline. At the moment I'm in week 20, day 5. And if you press the play button, it's, again, comparing it to XCOM 2, pretty similar to scanning. Where you advance the timeline, things get repaired, such as this Vindicator, which is one of the mechs I'm trying to repair. And you progress on your travels. There we go, work on the Vindicator is complete. And the next thing that's coming up is the work on the Spider. But first, we're traveling. Long range travel is done by one of these jump ships. You attach, you wait for the ship to jump, and off we go. Alright, onto a new star system. Time to disengage from the jump ship and be on our way. Now it's still going to take me a bit of time to travel, and between now and then we have the financial report coming up. Expenses this month 281,000, which means that I have 634,000 remaining. Next. Now every month you can set your expense level, and this has to do with morale, which at the moment is not something I'm going to go into. I'm going to go with the standard morale effect, so nothing at the moment, no benefits there. Moving on. We should be... Geez, another one. You have once in a while these, let's say, crew events coming up. And in these things you can determine how exactly you want to handle this situation. So what's going on here is that I run into Samire heading to the same way. It's been a long week. I know I can't make more hours in the day, but I can make more coffee. When you enter a cramped galley, you find Medusa and Decker. These are two of my pilots. In a tense standoff in front of a nearly empty coffee pot. Medusa says it's the last of the coffee. The XO says we won't have any more. And Decker wants it and says I got here first. He almost stole it while I was looking for my favorite mug. Split the coffee between them. Okay, both of these have high spirits. That's good. Now, let's get to the contract. Traveling to Detroit. That is not the actual city, but the star system. And we have arrived at Detroit. Alright, are we ready to proceed with the contract? Yes, we are. Now, what we have here is the selection screen for the mechs. Pretty much what soldiers / what mechs do you want to use. Over here on the right I have Glitch. This is my pilot and she's going to be piloting the Vindicator. This is more of a sniper Vindicator or sniper mech. Then I have the Shadowhawk. This one is commanded by Medusa. And the next one, this is a Spider. This is a light scouting mech. I don't have a pilot on this guy just yet. And the only one that I have available is Psycho, so I'm going to drag him over. And I do have another mech available, but I don't have a pilot. But I believe that this mech, this quick draw, is going to be more helpful than the Spider. So I'm going to remove the Spider and add the quick draw. So right now I have 3 mechs and 3 pilots. Let's go on a mission. Alright, mission is loaded in. Let's get going.
Command interface initiated.
Getting updated intel from our employer. They believe the base is going to be even more heavily defended than we thought. Oh, this is great. Maybe I should have brought 4 mechs. We need to move up and get a look at the base so we can see what kind of firepower that we're facing. Once we've grabbed the payroll, the LZ, or the Leopard will extract us at this LZ. Let's get going.
Well, this is a hellhole.
Now, all of these terrain features have a specific bonus or benefit or sometimes a detriment to your forces. Right now, I'm in water, which helps with my heat dissipation. It's basically your water cooling your whole mech, meaning that they're not going to be taking as much heat as they normally would. However, I believe it also slows you down, because you're trying to move your way through a bunch of mud, which is just going to take more time. Over here what you see is a pile of loose rocks. If you try to get your mech to move up there or through that line, then there's a very good chance that it's going to come unstable. It's basically slipping on a loose rock. As for the rest of the interface, we have down here on the left is a quick overview of the mech itself. Now at the moment all of these things are showing white or green, I'm colorblind, so you be the judge. Which tell you exactly how much armor they have, and that at the current moment everything is fine. The moment that these armor units start to take damage, that's when they're going to change color. And they're going to go and show up orange or red if they've been destroyed. Front, rear. Then it says the name of the particular mech, the name of the pilot, and over here in the middle you have your selection of all the pilots / mechs. So I have Psycho, Medusa and Glitch. Next, you have the various options that these units have. I can attack, I can move, I can sprint, which is basically faster move. But if you do this during a combat phase, you will not be able to fire. This is pretty much the double move that you have in XCOM. Then we have jump. This is if I want to use that jump jet. Next up is particular skills that these units might have. And in this case, Medusa has a passive skill, which is evasive movement. Now evasion means that the more a mech moves, the harder it's going to be to hit. Pretty much the theory that a moving target is harder to hit. This is what is simulated by evasion. And then we have a couple of specialties. These are precision strike, meaning that you are, well, you're not really a sniper in this sense, but you're going to be more accurate in the sense of where exactly you want to hit an enemy mech or target in general. Then we have Vigilance. Gains Guarded and Entrenched. This means that the mech is much harder to damage. It's going to take a lot less damage from incoming attacks. And then you have Brace. Removes Unsteady, so that if a mech has become so unsteady because of all the weapons fire it took that it's about to fall over, this is going to put it right back on its feet. Alright, let's see if we can find some targets here.
I'm walking here.
Now, at the moment, I have a bit of terrain cover here, unless they are somehow entrenched. Actually, one of the things that I haven't covered yet is this line that you see pulsing around the screen. That is the sensor distance. So anything inside there gets detected, but detection in this game is not the same as knowing what exactly it is. You know there's something there, but you still need line of sight to actually be able to see what you're dealing with. And then on the right side of the screen we have all the different weapons mounted on this particular mech. This is Psycho with the quick draw. This is Medusa, which has a couple of short-range missiles and an autocannon. Then we have Glitch with, what's it called again? The particle projector cannon, as well as the long-range missiles. Glitch is piloting my sniper mech. This is generally sticking a little bit further back and firing at stuff from afar. Now moving this mech up to the trees here, and this is also going to give it another bit of benefit. There you go, it has a little bit more evasive and it has a little bit more cover.
Onward.
Now not that it's going to be particularly hard to spot a mech when it's standing in the woods, because I mean these things are enormous. They're taller than the trees around here.
Orders.
But they do help.
Heading out.
I'm not going to move everybody up just yet. There we go, enemy contact. Don't know exactly what it is, we just know that there's something there. And you have particular scout mechs that can move farther and do a bit more scouting. Alright, I'm going to move this one. This is Glitch and the Vindicator. I don't need to move her up too far because she's a sniper. She has a little bit less armor than the rest of them, but very powerful weapons. At least for the period of the game where I'm in. What do we have? That's a mech, I think. Yep. We can see this is a vehicle and this is a mech, but we don't know exactly what we're dealing with. Another very important element of this game, especially in combat, is the initiative system. What you see up here are the phases of this round. So in each round you have 5 different phases, or this varies per the amount of units that you have. At the moment we're in phase 3 of this round, and in phase 3 I can move 2 of my units. I can move Medusa or Glitch, or I can say, well, I don't actually want to maneuver one or both of these units by clicking reserve. And when you do that, you can see that these 2 arrows here maneuver or move to phase 2. In phase 2 I know that I have another action, that's going to be Psycho, but I don't know exactly when these 2 are going to move. For the moment I'm pretty happy with my positioning, so I'm just going to reserve and let these guys move up a little bit more, and maybe they're going to come into range. There we go. Immediately that striker engages. A couple of rockets hit the Shadowhawk here. Let's see what the damage was.
Yes, Commander.
Frontal armor probably took a bit of a hit here. Yep, there we go. The right arm took some damage. The right torso took some damage. Center torso took some damage. And the right leg. Because those were the exposed elements of this mech. But now, this guy's in range. So I can move up and engage him. However, if I move up too far, there's a very good chance that this mech is immediately going to do quite a bit of damage to me. So for the moment, I'm going to keep him in reserve. I'm going to fire with Medusa. Sorry, with Glitch. Now when you're firing, you cannot specify where you're exactly going to be hitting, unless you use Precision Strike. And even then, I can only pinpoint what area of this vehicle I want to be hitting. You're going to be selecting what weapons you want to be using, or sorry, what weapons this vehicle has. In which case, this striker has an SRM-6, so a short-range missile, and a long-range missile. And down here on the right, you have the particle projector cannon with a hit chance of 80%, and the long-range missile with a chance of 75%. Also what I have here are melee and DFA, death from above. Melee means you're going to move up to something and either stomp on it in case it's a vehicle, or try to bash it if you're looking at a mech. And DFA is death from above. You use your jump jets and you jump right down on top of another unit, whichever that happens to be. For now, I could actually move glitch a little bit, because as you can see here, it only has one of those chevrons pointing right. This means that the evasion of this mech currently isn't that good. It's pretty easy to hit because it hasn't moved. Moving gets you a little bit more of these evasion chevrons, and if I move her up here to the tree line, I can now get cover as well as 2 more evasion chevrons. And I can still fire. There we go. Now she has 2 chevrons, she has a bit of cover, and now we're going to be doing some damage.
Got it.
Now the long-range missiles were a success. The particle projector unfortunately didn't hit, but the striker here did take some damage. We hit the frontal armor, took off almost half of its armor, and other than that, the looks like the turret took some damage, and the right and left side armor took some damage. And these bars here on the top show you exactly what type or what element of the vehicle you're hitting. Let's see. I can have the Medusa over here. Yeah, see, the chances to hit for this unit are not too good with short-range missiles because they're short-range missiles. They're not supposed to be hitting at this range. If I move up here, now we're getting somewhere, but I'm also putting that mech out in the open. I'm going to take that chance and hope that I can immediately wipe out that vehicle. Less guns means less damage to my mechs. Let's see if this hits.
Here it comes.
Gotcha. That was enough damage to the frontal armor and the structure, so the structure that lays behind the armor, so that the mech is now completely destroyed.
I'm your spaniel.
Next we have Psycho. Psycho at the moment is a bit out of position, so I'm going to move him up a little bit further and use this large cliff here as additional terrain cover, so that it's not going to be, well, not likely to be attacked from the front or top. Alright, I'm going to have him brace. One thing that I miss from XCOM is Overwatch. That's something that's just not in this game, so we're just going to be bracing. Time for that mech to move up. Oh, he moved up a little bit, but so little that I cannot see where he's going or what he is. Now I can move up, try and get close enough to him, and get the first strike in. And the Shadow Hawk with short-range missiles would be the ideal candidate to get in close and get some damage in. And also see what we're looking at. What we have over here is a Commando. Frontal armor is not that good, 30 points of armor. If you compare that to what I have here, I'm looking at 115 points of frontal armor. So my frontal armor is far better than his. He has 2 short-range missiles, and he can do a lot of damage with those if my units get too close. So he has the same armament that I have, but I have 2 SRM-6s, so I fire 6 missiles, he fires 4, so a total of 10. Alright, let's get some damage in.
Affirmative.
Now you see structure exposed. This means that an armor piece has already been destroyed. And this means that that area is very easy to hit. This one. This arm. The left arm can now be shut off. Meaning that the armament on this left arm, that's that M laser, is just destroyed. So he only is going to be left with the SRM-6 and 4, and doesn't have a laser to go with that.
I hear ya.
Let's see, I need to try and get a good shot in on him. But at the moment, terrain is working against me. I'm fighting an uphill battle, which means that at the moment, my long-range missiles, which can be used in indirect fire, I don't need to actually have a good line of sight with this target, can fire, but not the PPC. If I move here, I can probably fire both weapons.
Coordinates received.
Both the PPC and the long-range missiles. Yep, there we go. Now the fire or the hit chance for the PPC is not that good, but I can make that shot a little bit easier by using this precision strike. And once you get precision strike, you click on a unit and you say I want to hit him exactly here. And then you can see how much of a hit chance you have. In this case, I have a 48% chance to hit the left arm. I'm going to try and blow this thing off. And you can see that my hit chances also went up, thanks to that precision shot bonus. Fire.
This should be good.
And there goes your left arm. LA, left arm, destroyed. Now let's have a look at him. His left arm's been destroyed, and since there's nothing protecting this side of the mech anymore, I can now do more damage to the left torso. Now, I would try to conserve as much of this mech as possible, but I'd rather not get hit by their short-range missiles, especially considering that they're saying that this base is heavily defended. So I want to try and deal with this mech as quickly as possible.
Waiting for orders.
And I'm hoping that Psycho in the quick draw can get into range, but at the moment he can only use the long-range missiles, which would be handy, but it's not enough. If I jump, I can get up on top of this cliff, and then I have all the weapons available. And with good hit chances as well. So we're gonna move here. Alright, let's have a look. Most of these are 70% or better, with the exception of the long-range missiles. These things have a minimum range. If I fire them now, they're not likely to hit. They will, however, add to the amount of heat that is generated on this mech. And heat is something you can see right here. This orange blinking bar, this is the amount of heat that gets generated by firing all of these weapons. If I disable, for example, the LRM-10, you're going to see that it's generating less heat. And the less weapons I fire, the less heat I generate. At the moment, I want to be doing maximum damage to this thing and try and take it out as quickly as possible. So I'm going to be firing everything, with the exception of the LRM-10, simply for the fact that it doesn't have enough accuracy.
Firing on target.
LT destroyed. That's the left torso. Also, it's unsteady, and thanks to the side torso being destroyed, the enemy pilot has been injured. He tries to get a shot in. He seems to have done a little bit of damage to quick draw here. Or to Psycho, to be exact, if you want to name the pilot. Now, let's see there. He's going to get an action this turn, which means that I'd prefer to take him out this turn. And I want to conserve my missiles, because these things do have ammo, and if you're out of ammo, then you're left with nothing but melee option. So glitch is going to be the better alternative, because the PPC is an electric weapon, or a laser weapon, or an energy weapon, I think is the more accurate term. Those things get fed directly by the reactor. They have infinite ammo. So in order to maximize my ammo efficiency, I'm going to move up. This thing doesn't really need to get hit anymore. It's pretty much destroyed as is. Alright, you're going to be firing at that. You're not going to be using the long-range missiles, you're only going to be using the PPC. However, hit chances are fairly low. I'm going to once again take a precision shot. And we're going to try and... what do I want to hit? See, the headshot would be ideal, because it immediately destroys the mech, or at least disables the mech, if I can blow off the head. But I only have a 2% hit chance. 33% for the torso, 22% for the arm. What do you have on your right arm? Just an SRM-4. Where's your SRM-6 located? Center torso. Okay, we're going to go right for the core. We're going to try and completely destroy this thing. If it hits, that'd be wonderful. And thanks to the precision shot, both of these weapons got an accuracy buff, so I'm going to be firing both.
Take this.
There we go. CT, center torso, destroyed. Pilot incapacitated.
Should've run when you
Mech
had the
down.
chance.
Now at the moment I haven't taken that much damage, but this is a pretty easy mission. As you may have been able to spot in the contract screen,
What can I do for you?
it shows you exactly how dangerous a mission
I
is.
read you, Commander. Moving out.
At the moment, this is a pretty easy one, so I'm not taking that much damage, but this can pretty quickly ramp up.
Waiting for orders.
And the mission previous to this one, which was a storyline mission, I'm not going to spoil that one for you, I lost 2 mechs. That's why 2 of my mechs were going to be repaired, or needing to be repaired for so long. Alright, hold the location. So they're probably going to be bringing in reinforcements of some sort.
Copy that.
Just consider doing a bank heist with these things.
We have the asset, Commander.
Oh, hang on. Hold position. There we go. Mission successful. Pretty easy mission. Now, let's have a look at the post-mission results screen. You have the mission report. It took me 8 turns to complete this payroll seizure and recovery. The employer was the 3 Worlds League. The target was the planetary government, so that was the other contractor that was offering me work. I don't think they're going to be offering me work at the moment. I got a little bit more score on the Mercenary Review Board. And this means how effective your mercenary company is and what sort of mercenaries or mech warriors you can hire. The Free Worlds League got a little bit more in reputation, and the planetary government not so much. Next, this is the status report on all of my mechs. They only took a bit of armor damage, which is very easy to repair. Nothing critical got hit, so I don't have to repair that much. As you can see, each of these mech warriors got 400 XP. Now, I have the potential to get the salvage that I want. Normally, if you have a longer engagement, you're going to see a lot more of the salvage here. I especially want partial mech salvage, because this one, if I have enough of them, allows me to build another mech. So I'm going to drag that one over here. The LRM-10, always handy to have another long-range missile, and I want the short-range missile. Now I'm going to be getting all of these items, because I can pick 3, but you will see up to additional 4 pieces of salvage. Confirm, and I still get all of them. So in this case it doesn't really matter, but when you have missions which are a lot more combat intensive, where you have more targets, in that case you're going to be picking the most valuable things to you at that particular time. So it could be a weapon, could be a partial mech salvage, and the game randomly assigns you everything else. And now we are going back to the Leopard. And here we are. And here we are back at the Leopard. Now this is a very, very quick overview of Mech Warrior, of BattleTech. I wanted to do this video so that you can have a little bit of an idea of what the game is about, what sort of mechanics are in, what sort of weapons are in, and I haven't even scratched the surface of the amount of weapons or type of weapons that are available probably. I have no idea how long this game is going to run, but what I do know is that it is far too much to be covering in a complete playthrough. So for BattleTech I'm going to be doing the occasional video. If you have any questions about the game, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure I got a few things wrong, so if there are more veteran BattleTech players, then be sure to point out what I didn't quite get right in this video, so we can have a little bit more of an accuracy on it. And if this game is for you, then check out the link in the description and have a look at the game to see if it's anything for you. If you like XCOM, then this thing is probably for you as well. It is just going to take a little bit of getting used to, because the mechs behave a little bit different from your XCOM soldiers. Anyway, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of BattleTech down in the comments, and I'll see you soon for more videos.